I know you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed, but can you ever just be whelmed? I think you can in Europe.
Hello everyone, welcome back to a special episode of the Whelmed podcast. Before we keep going with the podcast, we'd like to acknowledge that this land that we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. Today is a special episode about all things international students, and we're not international students, so we thought we would probably hand the mic over to people who actually know and share in those experiences of being an international student. Yeah.
Belle is a fake international student. Say hi, Belle.
Hi, everyone. No, seriously, I do always get some funny looks when people ask me where I'm from, and I say Singapore, but yeah, I'm not a fake international student.
Yeah. But would you have had international student friends through college?
Yeah, I've got a few. College was a good place to meet them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it must be so hard, right? Like, especially if it's like they're coming here just for uni and like they've lived their entire life in a different country, don't speak the same language, not the same culture.
I must admit that a lot of international students do go into student living rather than college.
Yeah, actually.
I'm not sure why. I think it's just
probably safety reasons.
And
just cultural reasons.
Definitely.
Yeah, and when you're like
things.
Researching the place, it's
Yeah.
like student living. It's not like you
Student
go
living
find a
makes
college.
sense.
Yeah.
No, college, I think you have to know about a little bit more. But yeah, I'm excited to hear about what the actual differences is, because I think that we think that there's differences that aren't really differences.
Yeah.
And then the things that we don't think about. Someone coming from a different culture in a different country is like, why do you guys do that? That's really odd.
Yeah, or like the stuff we also think are issues when we come to uni. It's like the same for them or even worse in a way.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you don't only have to deal with starting uni and finding new friends, but you have to deal with being in a different country and not knowing where anything is. Like, imagine not knowing how to book a doctor's appointment because you
Or
just
like
moved to the
Adelaide
country.
Metro.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so unreliable. I'm so sorry to everyone out there. I'm a bus girly, but these
As
two.
am I.
Yeah.
No, but this is, like moving back from Singapore to Adelaide and not having the Singapore MRT and having to re-figure out how to use the Adelaide metro system. That was terrifying and I'd used it before. So
Yeah.
I can imagine.
I think you'd also learn a lot about the world through your international student friends. Like, I've got a friend, I've learned a lot about world experiences because she's been all over Europe and she's studying in the University of Edinburgh. And just hearing a different perspective on life and just like people's backgrounds and like how people study in Europe and all of that. It's really interesting.
Yeah. I think we're a bit sheltered here. Actually. Adelaide's quite nice, like large kind of retirement home like city.
Yeah. I don't
That's
know.
how I describe it to
I just
people.
think of it like a bigger Stars Hollow in a way. If anyone's seen Gilmore Girls, they'll know what I mean. But yeah.
I hate Gilmore Girls. Sorry. Anyway, moving on.
All right. Well, I think we should stop talking.
Yeah.
And let the people who actually know what they're talking about start talking. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Asirah, and you're listening to the Whelmed podcast.
Now we're going to chat with an amazing friend of mine, Asirah, who has written an amazing piece in issue 1 of On D titled Connell, Waldron and the International Student Experience. Go check it out if you have the chance. All right, so how whelmed are you feeling today?
I think I'm feeling nicely whelmed today. Early in the morning, I was very overwhelmed because I have a moot court presentation to do.
Oh my
was terrifying.
gosh.
But now that that's done, I feel a lot less overwhelmed.
Nice. So like 90% whelmed.
I'd say, maybe 90%.
Yeah, because
80%.
it's got to be like that little bit of, oh no, there's all these things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough. That's great. So just a bit of background. Did you come over here when you were really young or just for uni?
I came here just for uni, so I was 19 at the time.
Oh, wow. Why did you choose Adelaide?
Because my sister studied here as well, 7, 8 years ago. So I visited Adelaide before, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a quiet and lovely place. So different from KL, which is always busy, right? So I was like, maybe just a nice change of scenery would be what I needed.
Yeah, that's true. With law though, if you graduate with a law degree from here, can you still practice in Malaysia?
I think I'd have to take a specific licensing exam and certificate to practice in Malaysia.
That's cool. Are you planning on going back?
Oh, going back home to Malaysia. Yeah, I'm honestly down for wherever the opportunity is. If it's here, it's here. If it's back home, it's back home. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so getting more into it.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the first time when you obviously moved here for uni?
Mm-hmm.
Was this the first time you lived alone?
Yes, it was.
Oh my God. And in a whole brand new country as well.
In a whole brand new country, in the middle of a pandemic. On
Oh,
top of that.
no.
Yeah, very interesting experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so walk me through that. How did you find accommodation? So, sorry, are you living in student accommodation or in a share house? Or?
I'm currently living in a student accommodation.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, did you just look at the resources the uni provided, or did you have to search around?
Yeah, I did look at uni resources as well, but my primary source was my sister. So shout out to my sister for that. In terms of my accommodation, I stayed at a place where she used to stay when she was studying.
Is that the Yugo building right opposite?
No. I used to live in the eastern suburb.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, that means nothing to me because I don't know where the directions are, but
it's near Victoria Park, the racing course.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
so I used to stay there my first few years, and then I moved closer to the city.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, so moving over here, new country, new place, living alone for the first time, all of that. How was it like? Okay, if we go back to, did you want to move out, have a bit of independence from living with parents and stuff?
I think, I sort of did. That was sort of something I've always wanted to do, I guess, just to experience because, I grew up with my parents, obviously. What was that statement? I didn't go to boarding school or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I thought gonna enter my adulthood, why not just give it a shot? And I've been so privileged to be able to do that in a different country.
But that must have been also really scary.
It was. It really was. It's really scary and also I don't know, it's you're excited to go do things on your own, but you're also just really sad that you're gonna leave the people that you love and you've known for so long behind. So
that whole support system, and then here, nobody.
Pretty much, yeah.
Wow. Do you get homesick?
Oh, all the time. I'm in my 4th year and I'm still homesick. I feel ever since being able to go back home for the summer break kind of made the homesick worse because I'm just oh man, I just had so much fun.
Yeah.
Now I have to come back and
and then when you're at your parents' place and stuff, they cook for you, they clean for you, they pay for everything.
Oh my God, I'm so pampered. Now I have to do that by myself. Well, I chose to do it. So.
Yeah. When you first moved out, what were some of the challenges you faced that you didn't realize?
Oh, I think a pretty major challenge for me would be making friends, obviously. It's starting from square one. I didn't really know anyone. I did know a couple of my friends who went to pre-university and then came to uni Adelaide as well. So that was pretty good. But, you still sort of had to rebuild that friendship again and then build new friendships with other people. So that was quite challenging.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty introverted. So that could be quite a challenge at times.
Yeah, because you actually have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And that's the worst.
And
I hate it.
That's the whole essence of making friends in uni, is that you have to go out there.
Yeah.
Which is oh man, now I have to prep myself.
Do you enjoy living alone or do you get lonely?
Again, it's very 50-50, you know? Because of my introverted nature, I think I do appreciate some time for myself. I get very overwhelmed when it's just when I'm spending hours with a crowd. So that's very nice to be able to come back home and just be alone. But then obviously when you're too much on your own, you're like, oh man, now I have to hit up my friends because I'm about to spiral if I don't see another human. Yeah.
You're so isolated.
Yeah. So it's very 50-50 in that sense, I
That's
guess.
true.
Yeah.
And then with living alone, because it's just you, is it hard? Did you find it hard to balance both uni and then also like taking care of yourself, like cooking, cleaning, maintaining the house, basically?
Yeah, I think that can come as a challenge at times, especially during like peak assignment periods. And I'm like, oh man, I have like so many deadlines to catch, and now I have to cook myself dinner, and then I have to clean my bathroom. Jeez, like that's a lot on your plate, right? But I think I've sort of gotten the hang of like making a schedule for myself. So like I dedicate my weekends or like either Sunday or Saturday just to like take care of myself, like to clean the house.
Good. Do you work?
I'm currently just blogging for the university, the Wellbeing Hub. Yeah.
That is so cool. So you found, like, right at the start, did you find yourself, you know, takeaway every night, just noodles for 3 meals a day, all of that?
Yeah, just like those cup noodles.
Yeah. Mee goreng.
Yeah, that's right.
1 egg, there's your protein.
The egg is like the special touch, if I'm feeling frisky. Yeah, a lot of takeaway, especially during, again, like exam periods. When I'm not good
So
at cook.
how did you like build strategies or overcome that kind of to make some sort of routine?
Oh my gosh. I think you just kind of have to trial and error with that, you know?
Do you have any like tips for anyone who's going to move out, thinking of moving out or living alone, specifically like students?
I think it's good to set aside a day to sort of reset your house and also your life, really. It's sort of just like, okay, let me clean this kitchen and let me take out the trash and all that. But also I think that like a lot of the challenge is not so much physically but also mentally, in that you're trying to juggle between uni and then when you're cleaning your house you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not studying. Yeah. But then when you're studying too much you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not caring for myself. So I think it's very important to sort of
it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah. To sort of be like, oh, like I'm not studying but I'm also taking care of myself, which is like equally just as important.
Yeah, it's not like you're like wasting time or anything.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things to think of.
Do you have to like budget as well, or like think of finances?
Oh yeah, that's definitely something you have to do. Living alone, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any strategies for that?
Gosh, that's a very How did I budget? Oh, I have like a again, shout out to my sister because
what I'm hearing here is you need an older sibling.
Sister. Yeah, shout out to the big siblings out there, okay? But yeah, we worked out like a budget essentially before I left, and we have
that's
like,
good. So it wasn't like you got here and then you're like, oh,
no.
I have to work out a budget now. Okay, so pre-plan a budget, and break down like how much you want to spend on groceries each month, how much on like food. That's what I do. And I also like set aside some money just, to have fun, not just specifically on living. Yeah. That's true. Do you like grocery shop at Central Market and stuff like that? Or just like Coles, Woolies?
Sometimes. If I'm feeling it, I'll go to Central Market, for the vibes. But
yeah, it's always the vibes, man.
But if I have to make a quick run, then it's just like Coles or Woolies.
Yeah.
Fair.
Hey, you're listening to the Whelmed podcast. Hope you're feeling whelmed.
Okay, so moving here as an international student, that's a whole different thing. Not many people like understand the problems and issues you face, because obviously there's like loads of uni students who, live alone or move out, or even like rural students who come here and, live alone and stuff away from family. But for international students, are there any problems that you want to like talk, like just bring up, just to be like, some students just don't realize how hard this is?
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me try to think.
I think a big thing is like culture and friends and stuff. Like you can get so isolated if you don't know how to make friends or stuff like that.
I think making friends is definitely quite tough because like I said, like you're in a completely different place. You don't really know anyone, and especially like if you're an introverted person, that's another thing for you to think of. But yeah, and I think a lot of people that I've encountered here, they knew people from high school, so they've already had their friends. So it's kind of hard to sort of like break yourself into that bubble sometimes. You know what I mean?
Like the friendship groups are already formed.
Yeah, like they've got a pretty solid friendship group. So I mean, I guess it's easy for you to be friends with like one person in that group, but for you to actually break into that group, that's gonna be quite tough. At least that's what I found was tough for me. Yeah,
that's so true. And especially in Adelaide, because it's so small, everybody kind of knows everybody. You like grow up together, and it's all very tight knit. Yeah. Were your parents okay with you moving away for university?
Oh yeah, they were like, they were
for
really
it.
down for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
super for it. I think
that is so cool.
Like I've always wanted to do this ever since I was young, so I knew like that was a possibility because my parents were also just like, I mean, if you get the grades to get into the university, then why not? Just give it
fair
a shot.
enough. Yeah. Is that like sort of a thing in Malaysia where if you do go to university overseas, it's seen as like very good?
I think that might be a mix, I guess, of views with people. We have very good universities. Some of our like top-notch like national universities. That's really great as well. But I do think with certain people, I guess they do view like more prestige by going overseas.
That's true.
I guess.
Yeah. Do you feel like they have expectations of you that like when you were at home or like at high school you felt more, but like now that you have that space, it's either you don't have to like live up to those expectations anymore, it's a lesser burden? Is there any sort of thing like that?
I think so. I think my parents have been a lot more chill now that I'm in university and they're like super supportive of like my progress thus far. So I think that's really great. And like I'm very close to my family, so
that's nice.
Anytime I go through a minor inconvenience, I'm calling up my mom and being like, girl, like I'm struggling. And I think she kind of sees that as like I am trying and she's fully behind that. So
that's really good. Yeah. I know my parents would like be like, why would you want to move out? We like when everything here is at home, blah blah blah. And so it's like hard to grow into my own person with them always like there, I guess. Yeah, no, that's really good.
Yeah.
And do you feel as though there's enough support, I guess, from the uni for international students?
I haven't really been sort of like, how do I say it, like not really aware of a lot of what the uni does for international. I mean, I haven't really gone to a lot of services, but I do think in terms of like socializing and bringing us into the culture, the uni is doing a lot in that sense, which is really cool, especially with ISS. I think they do a lot of programs where they take you to like the Parliament House and they take you to these places, which sometimes as an international student, especially if you're a first timer, you can't really go to or you wouldn't really know about. So I think in terms of like getting you to meet other international students and then other Australian students and also just learning about South Australia, the universities has been slaying with that. Yeah,
I don't know any of these stuff because I've never had to access them, obviously. So that's really good because I've always thought it must be so hard with language barrier as well. Did you learn English in Malaysia or did you have to come here and...
Yeah, we learn it in primary and secondary, but I also just learned it simultaneously growing up. So
that's cool. Yeah. I'm in awe of people who can speak two languages. I cannot, like, I can't even speak my mother tongue. Like, I can understand it, but
and
nothing.
I've got friends who are like trilingual and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How?
How does your brain work like that? Exactly. Which language do you think in? Yeah, no, that's really cool.
And that's halfway through the episode. Time flies when you're having fun.
Am I right?
As a side note, grab some water, remember to stay hydrated. Now back to the episode.
So to all our listeners, I've got a friend of mine who I've known since I was probably around 7 or 8 years old, and she's finally moved to Australia, which I'm very excited about. And we brought her on the podcast today to talk about her experiences as an international student. So hello, Kith Manthi.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm having a bit of a stressful day. There's a lot of work that I have to do that I'm socially unalive for. But yeah, here we are.
That's all good. We totally understand. That is what this podcast is all about. We're always bringing on people who are just very drained, and that's the reality of things. So to start off, just tell us a bit about yourself. So what you're studying and where you moved to Australia from.
Yes, so I'm Kith, and I'm currently in Australia, and I've moved from Sri Lanka, and I'm studying at Griffith University as a full-time student at the moment. And I'm doing a double degree in criminology and criminal justice and psychological sciences. And that is a mouthful.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot. If you don't mind me asking, what were you studying before you moved here?
I actually finished my first degree. I did a psychology degree with honors while I was in Sri Lanka, but I do want to become a clinical psychologist in the future. I want to focus my career on that. And I felt that, what I did back home wasn't really enough and I wanted more. So I figured, try it again and do it again, but also add a new component that I could try out, which was criminology and criminal justice. And I am very much enjoying that as well.
No, that's definitely very interesting.
Yeah.
Since moving here, how have you found uni life, the whole culture in Australia?
I have to say it's very, very much different to what it was in Sri Lanka, what it is in Sri Lanka. I would say in terms of the culture at university, people are very approachable and friendly. And professors and my course conveners are very helpful. They're very kind and friendly. It's very nice. It's a very big difference. And I'm not saying Sri Lankan people are not friendly and not approachable, but sometimes they can be.
Yeah.
So it's part of the culture shock actually to see that huge cultural difference.
Yeah.
And I'm still adjusting. Of course, it's not even been 3 months since I've been here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think in terms of that, and people are very kind. And I love the diversity of people here. So many international students and so many communities and clubs and societies. It's very exciting to be a part of something much bigger than myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think when you move overseas, you never sort of get used to it. You do to an extent, but even I'm always blown away by how different everything is here. When I moved, obviously I moved more than 10 years ago and a lot of things have changed, but even still people have always been really friendly and sociable and approachable. And I guess I don't know if the term laid back kind of makes sense to you. Kind of get that. Yeah. Everyone is very chill. Most people. So yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying.
I also remember when in my previous degree I would learn for social psychology the difference between individualistic cultures and collectivistic cultures. And now having moved from a collectivist culture to one that is individualistic, it is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. To be viscerally involved in it, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to understand because you and I both have complete different experiences. You've experienced more of Sri Lanka and I've experienced less of it. So I've got more of a childhood background. But you've seen it change over the past 10 years.
Yeah.
So that would definitely be very different. And yeah. So I also wanted to ask, if you don't mind me asking, about your current accommodation and if you have any pros and cons you'd like to share.
Yes, absolutely. I am currently living by myself. I've got a private room and an ensuite bathroom attached to the room that I'm staying in. And the landlords, and not landlords, I would say landlady, she's very nice and very friendly. And I think her personality itself just made my moving here very much easier for me in a sense because I felt very welcomed. That was really appreciated. So that was definitely one of the pros. And it's one bus ride away from university. It's just 2 stops and I'm 5 minutes away from uni.
Yeah.
It's just a 10-minute walk, and I really appreciate the distance as well, because especially after dark, and I'm in a new place, and I'm a girl, and it's not that fun, you know, when it comes to like the social concerns and everything. So I appreciate the proximity as well.
Yeah.
But I would say it comes with some cons as well, as all things do. And one of them's the fact that there's no separate kitchen area for me. All my equipment's kind of on like cabinets and cupboards, and it's all a little squished together, I would say.
Yeah.
And I also don't have my own laundry. So like once a week, I have to sort of like take a 5-minute walk. I've dedicated Saturdays for my laundry, and I have to walk back and forth. And that takes about an hour and a half of my week just to get everything done. I have to go to the laundromat near the university. And it honestly doesn't seem so bad when you think of it like being outdoors, having a nice walk. But when you have to carry a buttload of clothes back and forth, it's not fun.
No.
It gets very tiring, and the sun is so like, it's bloody hot these days.
Yeah, it would be because you're up in Queensland.
Yeah. It's getting better,
the
weather. Like, it's getting cooler, but it's still like really hot in the morning sometimes.
Yeah. Be thankful that you're not down in Adelaide because it's freezing right now.
Oh my God, that is one of the other things. Part of the transition, like the surprises, the weather. Like I understand the difference between the weather being hot, the weather being cold, but this is so different to what I've experienced before.
Yeah.
Like the coldness just bites at my skin, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? Yeah. And winter is not even here yet, so I'm just like, how am I gonna survive? What am I gonna do?
You've just got to get yourself one of those really warm parkas and just wear everywhere you go. It would be interesting though, like if you went back to Sri Lanka now, how you would feel about the humidity there, because I know I definitely wouldn't be able to tolerate it anymore. Because we went back in 2013, and I'm so sorry we couldn't come to see you. But we were on a really short family trip, and we went back, and I just got bitten by mosquitoes everywhere, and it was so hot.
That's the other interesting thing with this. I don't think I've seen a lot of roaches running around or like flying around.
No.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's very cool though. But I miss the geckos. I don't think I've seen a single gecko since I've been here.
Yeah, I don't miss leeches. I don't miss mosquitoes, but like
leeches,
birds, insects, squirrels. We don't have squirrels here. It's
what?
No squirrels in Australia.
What?
No, I was so heartbroken. I moved here and I was like, there are no squirrels.
Oh my God.
No squirrels, unfortunately. We have amazing wildlife here, but no squirrels.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Now, obviously, going into the topic of like missing things from home, have you experienced any homesickness since you moved, and did you have any suggestions on how to cope with that for anybody listening?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Before I moved here, everyone was telling me the first couple of months are going to be really hard, really this, really that, really tough. And you're going to miss home, and you're going to miss everything and miss everyone and make the most of it. I never really believed them because my only objective was to go away, like leave Sri Lanka. But oh my God, I was so naive, and I'm like, I'm okay having the realization that I was naive, because how would I have known then, right? But I'm definitely homesick. I definitely miss everything. I miss the room that I struggled so much in, that I had as my sanctuary. I miss my house. I miss the roads. I even miss the people who were not very polite. I miss the food. I miss the homemade food, because I want to like bring my mom here just so she can make my meals for me.
I still have that luxury. Oh my God. No, I understand.
But I definitely am homesick, like all the time. And I don't know, there are certain things that like when I drive around, or like, I'm traveling around, and I see like little bits and pieces like that remind me of home. And I don't know, I just cling on to it so tightly. And even though it's just so temporary that it's just fleeting a moment, but I'm just holding on to it so tightly.
Yeah.
But I honestly would say for everyone that is feeling homesick, it's perfectly understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And relocating to another country is not as picture perfect as whatever society, the media, or whatever, like anything makes it out to be,
Yeah.
And transitioning from your homeland, doesn't matter if you've been there 8 years or 21 years, like it's gonna be hard.
It is.
And it's gonna be scary and it's gonna be unfamiliar and you're not gonna know where you are. Some days you're gonna wake up and you're gonna ask yourself, who am I? Why am I even here? What is this place? And everything's gonna feel so unfamiliar and foreign, and you're gonna feel like an alien.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain moments in your days whether it's like a beautiful sunrise or a sunset, or you're just laying on the grass looking at the sky, or you're doing your coursework, or you've got a job now, you're making money now, all the little things and little wins.
Yeah.
That's going to remind you of why you actually chose to move.
Yeah.
That's going to remind you of why you chose to come here.
Yeah.
And you're going to be able to remind yourself that it was all for a purpose, bigger than your present self.
Yeah.
And it's going to be worth it. And it's something very worth being invested in.
Yeah.
So it's going to be completely okay, and you're going to be completely okay, and you are prepared to deal with this. That's what I would tell someone.
Yeah, definitely. I think for you, definitely when you get to that graduation date, you probably feel all of these things again. But my graduation is actually next week, so I'm feeling a lot of feelings. Like, not
Are you
just
excited at all?
I am excited, but also like I'm feeling like very grateful to my parents for moving us here all those years ago. I used to be so like hesitant to move. I remember when my mum told us that we were moving, and I was like stomping my feet, and I was like, I do not want to leave home. And now that I'm it feels like a big milestone that's been years in the making, and just having a lot of feelings come up about how much my parents have gone through. Like, they had such successful jobs and networks back home, and coming here they had to start again from scratch, from practically nothing, like no friends, no support networks. They did have a few family friends living in Adelaide who could help them out, but apart from that, like, it was a lot. And
that is a massive feat in itself, to start from scratch. It's unbelievably brave and courageous of someone to be able to do that.
Yeah, I would say you're doing that too in a way, and especially moving alone by yourself without that support network. Like, hats off to you for doing that.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you find that there are any other things that you miss that we don't have here in Australia that from Sri Lanka?
Personally, being in Queensland and being in Gold Coast, I honestly would say Sri Lankan food and restaurants and homemade spices, because the food here is so bland. It makes me want to cry. Oh man,
okay.
I found like Hungarian chili flakes. And oh my god, I've been putting chili flakes in every single meal that I make because I need some taste.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. Like, where is the spice, you know?
I think you probably have a better spice tolerance than me. I think mine's gone down since I moved.
Oh, that is probably true.
Yeah. One of my aunties came over a couple of years ago, and she made this chicken curry. And I couldn't even put in a single mouthful because it was that spicy. But that would be how she normally cooks it. I don't know.
Oh, that's the best kind, though.
Yeah.
The chicken curry that makes you cry tears and the booger all over your face. That's when you know it. You hit the spot right there.
No,
that's
definitely.
Good chicken curry.
It is. Yeah. Have you found any Sri Lankan shops, like spice shops or anything like that in Queensland?
Yeah, I actually did. There is only sadly one, but I will take what I can get.
Yeah.
It's in a neighboring suburb. It's just like a 10-15 minute distance of on public transport, that is. But there is one Sri Lankan grocery store. I haven't been there yet. That is the funniest part. I'm so desperate for home, and I still haven't been there. But all in good time.
Yeah.
But I did travel to Brisbane, which is about an hour from where I live by train. And Yeah, I managed to go to like a Sri Lankan restaurant. There's this place called Kottu Hut, and oh my god, I could have cried. Like if I was as emotional then as I am, let's say today, like I would have cried eating the kottu, and oh my god, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I got to like talk to Sri Lankans, and that was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of like talking to other people who are like similar to you, have you made like any friends like in the international student community, or have you met people who are domestic students?
Yes, I definitely have. I mean, I'm currently on week 8 of my trimester, and I can't believe time's already like flown by.
Yeah.
Like what even is time? It's crazy. Like I'm learning so much at such a fast pace as well. But I definitely have made some friends, domestic and international. And I'm happy to say that I think I have like 1 or 2 Sri Lankan friends as well, which is really nice.
Amazing.
It's a good place to start. And I do have another friend. She's biracial. She's Japanese and Pakistani.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really nice. And there's also a couple of friends that I have that are domestic. And yeah, the circle is certainly expanding with time, which is nice. To have social connections, I think it's important during such an isolating time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. One more final question to wrap up. Do you have any other comments or anything you'd like to tell people who are listening to our podcast today?
I would say if you're crying at home, stuck in your room, and you don't want to do anything because the transition is really difficult, it's perfectly understandable. And you have every right to just spend a day or 2 days, however long you want, just doing nothing if that's what you think you need to do. And to listen to your gut, and to listen to your body, and to listen to what your instincts are always telling you to do, and do the right thing by yourself. And that things will get easier and better in time. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, thank you so much for coming in to talk on our podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know it was so last minute.
That's
but
okay. That's
yeah.
all right.
All right. Thank you. And I hope that you have an awesome year. And
Thank you so much.
yeah, I know everything will work out, as you were saying. Like,
Yeah.
you're in it for the long haul, but once you get to the end of it, like it will all be worth it.
That is definitely true. Yeah. Just gotta hold on.
Yeah. As always, thanks for tuning in. Feel free to let us know what you thought about this episode or any of our other episodes on our socials. We are at whelmed.pod on Instagram and at whelmed on Facebook and YouTube. And as always, stay whelmed, and we'll see you next time.